Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Have you ever just poured your heart out wishing for a better life, a better career, or maybe a deeper spiritual connection, only to feel like the universe is just completely ignoring you? I mean, we constantly chase these really deep desires, and yet so often they just go completely unfulfilled. We end up frustrated, feeling like we're just spinning our wheels. Well, today we're going to explore exactly why that happens. We're diving into some fascinating insights from our source material that revealed the real reason our deepest desires so often hit a brick wall. And honestly, more importantly, we're going to look at how a radical shift in clarity can change absolutely everything.
So why do so many of us struggle to actually realize our desires? It's a huge, universal frustration, isn't it? The author of our source material actually took this exact question directly to the greatest creator. Take a second and think about your own life. Think about that one big thing you've been wanting for years. Why hasn't it manifested? Is it just bad luck? A lack of effort? Is the universe just being stubborn? Well, the answer given in the text is incredibly direct, and honestly, it's a little humbling.
And here is that surprisingly simple answer. Quote, because they haven't expressed themselves clearly, unquote. That's it. The text explains that our hearts are just in this constant state of flux. They change with time, they change with our surroundings, sometimes they even shift multiple times in a single day. And because of this constant wandering and changing of our minds, the non-material universe, the greatest creator, literally cannot assist us. We just haven't made it clear where we want to go or what we actually need. Okay, let's dive into what this actually looks like in practice. Take a phrase like, I want to be rich. I mean, that's probably one of the most common everyday wishes on the entire planet. But it's completely vague. It lacks any actionable parameters whatsoever. What kind of wealth are you actually looking for? Are we talking about material wealth? Or are you seeking spiritual and inner richness? What is your actual specific standard for being rich? Because without clarifying those details, the desire is essentially impossible to fulfill. It's not because of some grand social injustice, it's literally just because we haven't expressed ourselves clearly.
And you know, this applies perfectly to those big, grand spiritual demands, too. If someone says, I want to go to heaven, well, what specific reality are they actually picturing in their head? Is it a realm like the 1,000-year world? Is it the 10,000-year world? Or maybe something like the Celestial Islands continent? If you don't hold a crystal clear image of your destination, how can you expect anyone, let alone the universe, to help you get there? Without a specific image, getting help is just impossible.
Let's bring this concept down to a really grounded, everyday level. Just imagine walking into a restaurant and telling the server, I want a drink. How could they possibly satisfy that request? Do you want coffee, tea, cola, orange juice, mineral water? Unless you specifically add the phrase, any drink will do, nobody can satisfy a demand that vague. And the universe operates the exact same way. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that abstract concepts require tangible definitions. Take the desire for joy and freedom. It sounds beautiful, right? But it's really an empty concept without real content. What kind of joy and freedom do you actually want? Is it the joy of simply eating a really good cookie? The feeling of putting on a brand new outfit? Or is it finding a like-minded friend? Or maybe even building a villa abroad? Wanting joy without defining the real, physical content of that joy just makes for an empty desire. It's impossible to achieve. The source text points out that if you simply say, I want a comfortable house, but you have zero clear structural design in mind, how can the builders possibly assist you? In fact, the text makes this huge argument that most human troubles, conflicts, and friction stem entirely from this one failure. We don't give the universe, or even the people around us, clear structural designs for what we want. We speak in these broad, sweeping statements, and then we get totally upset when the results don't match that secret, undefined vision we have in our heads.
This actually builds into this really powerful metaphor about the illusion of choice. The text describes a scenario where you're faced with 1,000 beds, 100 boats, and hundreds of airplanes. It observes how so many spiritual practitioners approach their paths exactly like this. They just stand on the shore for a long time, admiring one boat's beauty and then another's splendor. They try out this bed, and then they bounce over and test out that one. They get completely captivated by the sheer abundance of options, but they never actually commit to boarding a single vessel.
But here is the hard reality of existence. It all narrows down to the number one. If there are 1,000 beds, you can still only sleep in one. If there are 100 boats, you can only take one to actually cross the river. If there are hundreds of planes sitting at the airport, you can only board one flight. You literally cannot experience all of them simultaneously.
By constantly wandering around, looking at all the options without making a firm choice, you just squander your time and remain completely shallow. The text strongly asserts that critics who just wander around pointing fingers are not true spiritual practitioners. Genuine practitioners aren't the ones evaluating all the boats from the dock. They're the ones who simply try their absolute hardest to express themselves clearly, pick a boat, and finally cross the river. Now, right about now in this explainer, you might be wondering exactly what the author asks next. Is advanced cultivation really this simple? Just express yourself clearly? I mean, it feels almost too easy, right? We're so conditioned to believe that advanced spiritual growth or immense life success requires complex, arcane knowledge and years of grueling, mysterious practices.
Well, the source material confirms this with absolute certainty. Yes, it truly is that simple. All you need to do is express yourself clearly. This is a massive paradigm shift. It completely moves us away from the idea that we need profound, complicated rituals to elevate ourselves, and it places the responsibility entirely on our own ability to just understand our own minds and articulate our choices.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it addresses the biggest trap people fall into, the false solution. People think that to be advanced, they need to sound advanced. The text explicitly states, expressing oneself clearly doesn't require flowery language or the pretense of profundity. So many people use exaggerated, complex terminology basically as a mask for the emptiness of their actual desires. They try to sound super smart just to cover up the fact that they don't actually know what they want.
To prove this point, the author provides some examples of this exact kind of pseudo-profound writing. Listen to this, directly from the source. Bach's melody in quantum mechanics has an electrolytic essence of active resonance. Its greatness lies in the principle of human-heaven harmony accurately reflected in Einstein's mass-energy equation within the singularity mushroom cloud of an atomic bomb. Space is squeezed and unfolded by topological topology into the primitive dynamic equilibrium of sexual instinct.
Yeah. And here is another excerpt of this style. Form mirrors the soul of emptiness. Emptiness is the natural essence of form. The universe's essence is an unrestricted expansion of love within nature's bounds. When a tiger devours a fawn, it reflects self-nature's ultimate conquest within the realm of love.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole trap. Because right after providing those incredibly dense, confusing paragraphs, the author just pops the bubble. He reveals that he wrote those specific passages himself simply to mock others. It is intentionally exaggerated, completely empty nonsense. Articles that appear flowery and profound like that actually fail to express anything clearly at all. The text warns us that wasting time and energy reading or studying writings that don't express themselves clearly is actually actively harmful. The more you immerse yourself in empty jargon and pseudo-profundity, the more confused your thinking is going to become. Instead of achieving enlightenment, you just sink deeper and deeper into the illusion of word games. True clarity is the exact opposite of that kind of mental chaos. So, here is the ultimate takeaway for our explainer today. This is the true definition of advanced cultivation based on the text. It is simply understanding your own heart and expressing it clearly without any flowery language. True spiritual elevation isn't about cosmic resonance or topological spaces. It's literally about knowing exactly what kind of tea you want to drink and having the courage and clarity to just ask for it. It's about designing the specific structure of the house you want to build.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important challenge. It's time to stop pointing fingers at the universe for not delivering. We need to stop hiding behind vague concepts like wealth or freedom or complicated jargon. Who can express themselves clearly? I want you to apply this radical clarity to your own life right now. What exactly do you want today? Because once you can answer that with pinpoint precision, everything changes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.